College has played a big part in all of our lives. Even though I've only been here for a few months, it feels like it has been much longer just because so much has happened, and I'm sure all of you can relate. Sadly, in the same time period that has changed all of our lives for the better, a lot has changed for the worse. Just as we started college, the United States government withdrew from the war on terrorism in Afghanistan. In the span of a few months, the Taliban fought their way to the capital and defeated the government of Afghanistan. Afghanistan has had its government collapse, it was at war with the Taliban for over 2 decades, and its citizens have suffered from hostility in the region. For the past few weeks, I have been searching for the reason why these things have happened and what is going on in Afghanistan. In April, the US president ordered the withdrawal of all troops from Afghanistan based on an agreement with the Taliban that said the Taliban wouldn't let terrorist groups conduct business in their area, and in exchange, all US troops would leave at the end of August. David Zucchino from the New York Times reported that the United States government estimated that the Taliban would most likely seize control of the country, but they thought it would likely take several years to do so. So the fact that the Taliban took control of the area so quickly came as a surprise to everyone, including the Taliban themselves. Stephen Biddle from the Global Conflict Tracker wrote that in the fight to gain control of Afghanistan, civilian casualties have reached an all-time high this year, with the total death count surpassing 100,000 deaths since 2009. The worst part of all this is that the Taliban allegedly still has ties to Al-Qaeda, which hints that the area might go back to being a place for terrorist organizations. Now that we understand what is going on in Afghanistan right now, we should look at how Afghanistan was to get an understanding of why we were there in the first place. In 1989, the Soviet Union collapsed, ending their campaign in Afghanistan. Nazif Sharil wrote in 2002 that hostilities grew in Afghanistan until they erupted in a civil war. This civil war quickly turned into one based on ethnic groups and further divided the already broken region. Violence expanded across the state and tore the region apart, which gave way for terrorist organizations to form and take control of the area. In 2020, Gale the publisher published an article saying that after the planned attack on September 11th, the United States sent troops into the region to conquer terrorism, establish a democratic government, and promote women's rights. These are noble goals for sure, but were any of these things actually accomplished before the troops left? Women in Afghanistan have few rights and are frequently the victims of domestic violence, which Lita from the Journal of Gender Studies said helped give the United States mortal reasons to invade Afghanistan. While in Afghanistan, the United States was able to establish a government and build schools for children to attend. While going to school might seem like a normal thing to you and I, but this is a luxury item in Afghanistan. Kate Cameron wrote for the Journal of Interpersonal Violence that 39% of the population living in Afghanistan is living below the poverty line, and half of those people are children. Many children have to leave school to work and support their families at young ages, with 1 in 4 children between the ages of 7 and 14 working full-time to support their household. The problems in Afghanistan are complex and difficult to solve, and there is no clear solution to solve them. Afghanistan has had its government collapse, it was at war with the Taliban for over 2 decades, and its citizens have suffered from the hostility in the region. Terrorism led us to go to war in Afghanistan, and now that we have withdrawn from the war, we are in the same place we were 20 years ago. Now all we can do is hope that the Taliban promotes better standards of living for its citizens and not allow terrorist organizations to form in the area. Just because the war is over doesn't mean that the problems in Afghanistan are solved, and it is up to us to make sure history doesn't repeat itself and human rights are promoted in the area.